a lot of the countries in Latin America, actually all of them, they speak either Spanish or Portuguese as the main language. In Guatemala, you have a lot of Mayan languages. So Spanish is spoken also, but there are large numbers of people, 40% of the population, their first language is one of the Mayan languages, and Spanish, if they speak Spanish, is their second language. So that's different from most countries in Latin America where the indigenous groups that speak native languages in most parts of Latin America are a very small percentage of the population. In Guatemala, it's 40%. So it's a different demographic picture there.
A lot easier with the slides. Just a bit of introductory words about myself and Manchester. We lived in Colombia, South America, for 10 years. Actually, Manchester grew up there. She arrived, her parents brought her there when she was, took her there when she was 5 years old. They've been missionaries there ever since. And when Manchester and I got married, we moved back down to, she moved back, I moved to Colombia. And we worked down there with an indigenous tribe called the Kogi tribe. And I translated the New Testament into their language. And then during that time, we discovered the Holy Orthodox faith. And so we moved back to the States. I went to Jordanville for 3 years and was ordained, and then sent us to Buffalo. And we've been in Buffalo for 15 years now. But now we've heard about this amazing thing that's happening down in Guatemala. If I told you that 400 people in Guatemala become Orthodox, what would you think? 400 people. Pretty good, huh? That's amazing. That's a lot of people. What if I said 4,000 people became Orthodox in Guatemala? That'd be one of the great Orthodox missionary success stories of recent times. What if I said 40,000 people become Orthodox? That's just an amazing number. You guys know about St. Nicholas of Japan? You heard of St. Nicholas of Japan? He was a missionary, he was Russian, he was a missionary to Japan in the 19th century, so about 150 years ago. And in the course of his lifetime, by the time he reposed, there were 30,000 Orthodox Christians in Japan. It was one of the most amazing Orthodox missionary success stories of the last couple hundred years. 30,000 people. But in Guatemala, they already have at least 40,000. By some estimates, as many as 150,000 people. That's 2 football stadiums full of people. That's more than all the people in the Russian church brought in. Overnight, bam, they received the Orthodoxy 4 years ago. They have 338 parishes. For those 338 parishes, they have only 8 priests. So each priest, through the math, has to take care of about 50 parishes all by himself. So there's a lot of traveling around. So each priest is basically has to act like a bishop. That's what we're whole diocese, as it were, is in charge of the parishes. So it's a lot of work. Now the 8 priests they already have, they were in the people originally came mostly from Roman Catholicism. About 20 years ago, they left Roman Catholicism for different reasons, different communities for different reasons, and they joined a non-canonical Orthodox jurisdiction. They didn't realize it was non-canonical because they didn't really know anything about Orthodoxy. And so for decades they thought they were Orthodox. And then the French eventually came to understand they weren't really legitimate Orthodoxy. And so the Greek Archdiocese of Mexico and Central America received them into canonical Orthodoxy 4 years ago. And our Metropolitan Anthony Boris, the Greek Archbishop down there, finally visited Guatemala for the first time just last year. So people are very excited. They're very enthusiastic about the faith, the bits that they understand about Orthodoxy. I'm sure each one of you here knows way more about Orthodoxy than any of the faithful in Guatemala do. So they have a lot to learn, but they're very eager to learn. Earlier this year, Masha and I were there for a couple weeks in late February or in March. And everyone we talked to was really eager to learn. They'd ask us questions about the faith. So, what does Orthodoxy say about this? What does Orthodoxy say about that? How do you do this? How do you do that? Why is it different from what we're doing as Roman Catholics? And anything we explain to them, they would eagerly listen to and eagerly accept. They want to know about Orthodoxy. They want to truly be Orthodox. They know that they have a ways to go in their understanding and practice. And if we get the slideshow going, you'll see that a lot of the parishes we visited, there's a a lot of Orthodox imagery and iconography, but there's also a lot of Roman Catholic imagery still. And so you can see that there's sort of a transition period going from being former Roman Catholics to becoming Orthodox and understanding fully what that means. So because they've only got 8 priests for this huge number of people and huge number of parishes, the most urgent need now is, what do you think? What do you think the most urgent need is? More priests. So we're opening up a seminary. The local church in Guatemala has a piece of property that they have. They've already been using to train their lay workers. And so they're converting that into a little actual seminary to retrain the priests they already have and train new priests for all their communities. So Mash and I visited there. We felt really called by God to move down there, to leave Buffalo, leave our parish, leave our jobs, leave everything we know up in Buffalo in the States and move down to Guatemala full-time to help get the seminary started and start training priests down there. So because of our experience in Latin America already, we speak Spanish. We also, our day job back in Buffalo is we're Spanish language interpreters. So we're able to teach the Spanish language down at the seminary. But also, as much as he's saying, people, as their first languages, speak Mayan languages. So the other thing I'll be involved in is translating the liturgy to their languages. The people are already clamoring to have the divine liturgy translated in their own languages because some of them understand Spanish, some of them understand Spanish quite well, but even the ones that understand Spanish well, this is really the language of their heart. So they're clamoring to have the liturgy and other services translated in their own mother tongues. And so we'll be involved with overseeing the translation of all these things into those languages. There's 22 Mayan languages spoken among all the people in Guatemala. And so those are the 2 main tasks we're involved in.
So the part of Guatemala where we're going to be is up in the mountains, and it's cold and dry, and it's centrally located to where the people that have become Orthodox live. They live in very isolated villages up in the mountains, very difficult to get to and from these places. These people, because they live in such isolated places, they're kind of insulated from the outside world in a lot of ways. And so it's very interesting. It's rare in this day and age to find people like this who are sort of untouched by our modern society. So it's a very interesting group of people to work with because they're maybe somewhat naive, but also they're not cynical and they're not hardened by the world. And so it's almost
It's probably the largest mass conversion to Orthodoxy since the baptism of Bruce in 1988. So it's really an earth-shaking event in the Orthodox churches. And as Mashka was saying, they're very traditional. In a lot of these communities, these isolated communities, different Protestant sects will come in, or different cults, or Mormons, or what have you. And the village has always rejected those people. They say, we don't want anything newfangled or made up. We want traditional Christianity. And so then when they came to Orthodoxy, they embraced that immediately. It didn't take any coaxing because they recognized it as authentic, original, ancient Christianity. It's interesting in the situation of Guatemala because usually when Orthodoxy arrives to a new country, the first thing it's done, going back to the example of St. Nicholas of Japan, St. Nicholas was posted at the Russian embassy in Tokyo. And so that's how he started his mission. He worked by ministering to the local Russians there in the diplomatic corps and maybe business issues and such. And then eventually other people would hear about the faith and come and visit the services. And the services were Japanese originally, I'm sure they were Slavonic, but eventually they'd get some converts and it would gradually grow. But the core would be those Russian expatriates who happen to be living in the community. And this is the case usually in other places around the world. But in Guatemala, it's happening really backwards. When we tell people, oh, we're going to Guatemala, there's a bunch of Orthodox in Guatemala. People say, well, I didn't know there's a bunch of Russians in Guatemala. No, we're not talking about Russians, we're talking about Guatemalans that are Orthodox. And so it's really starting from the grassroots. It's not that it started in the capital among expatriates, Greeks and Russians, and sort of filtered down to the local population. It started with the local population, and not in the cities, in the smallest, most remote villages where people don't even speak Spanish. Very primitive indigenous people. There we are. Excellent. Thank you so much.
John, does that come off the screen or it'll stay?
It should pop off.
Okay.
Just give it to them, I'll put this way off.
You gotta press the end button. See on the bottom right corner? Or it says end.
I don't know. He says it's going to come
Thanks,
off.
John, for fixing the projector. Thank you all for your patience. Technical difficulties. Here we go. We're going back in time to start. As I mentioned, in a previous life, we lived in Colombia, and so this is a picture from back in the 1980s. Guess which of these three is me? I'm on the left. Free beard, free ponytail, free cassock. And so this is when I was doing Bible translation. We were working with a gentleman from the Kogi tribe. Alfonso actually grew up in Mashka's family, so it's like a brother to her. And this is Mashka's father on the right. And so we're translating the Kogi scriptures into the language. So it's just showing what preparation we already had.
Tell what all the books are on the table.
All those books are different translations of the New Testament into Spanish, and we also have the Greek New Testament and commentaries and such. And guess which one's Mashka? So this is White. Yeah. So Mashka and our son Nicholas is now 27 and married. This is Mashka back in the 80s. This is a woman from a neighboring tribe. This is up in the mountains of Colombia, very beautiful. And this is Mashka as well, wearing the indigenous dress of the local people. So just to show that we already have a background working with indigenous peoples in Latin America, even before we came to Orthodoxy. So bringing us up to 2013, in February and March of this year, Mashka and I were very privileged and blessed to spend 2 weeks down in Guatemala to get a feel for the lay of the land, to see the Orthodox Church of Guatemala and meet the people there. And this is Father Andres Giron. Father Andres Giron is the leader of the Guatemalan Orthodox Church. He's a household name in Guatemala. He was a senator for a number of years. He also served as Guatemala's ambassador to the UN for some time. And he led a lot of marches for peace. Guatemala he was very instrumental in leading peace marches that eventually led to the end of the Civil War. He's a very dynamic man, a very charismatic man, a very visionary man. And it was because of him that we have up to 150,000 people that are converted to the Orthodox faith. As I mentioned, the group in Guatemala was received into canonical Orthodoxy 4 years ago by the Greek Archpriest of Mexico and Central America. So this, oops, we have like a pointer.
Yes, the red button.
The red button. Anyway, the bishop in the middle with the panagia, that's Metropolitan Anaxagoras. This is his first pastoral visit to Guatemala. Yeah. So this is Metropolitan Anaxagoras, and this is Father Andres. And people are just thrilled to have him visit. These gentlemen, you can see them on these wonderful red and white striped pants. And that shows they're from the town of Todos Santos. You can tell what town they're from by the pants that they wear. So it's really exciting to meet other parts of the country, and all of a sudden you see a guy wearing these pants and you go, aha, I know what town you're from. And chaps, yeah. So every town has its own dress. Not so much for the men anymore, but definitely for the women. The women still have a different pattern skirt for every town they're in. This priest here is Father John Chapos. He's a retired Greek Orthodox priest from Pittsburgh, and he's really the first missionary from the States down to Guatemala. He and his wife take trips for several months at a time down to Guatemala. He's training the whole priests to serve the Divine Liturgy and teach them other things. So he's really the first seminary instructor there until we get there. So some facts, like I mentioned, they're received by the Greek Archdiocese of Mexico and Central America 4 years ago. They have between 40 and 150,000 faithful. So again, that's more than all the people that are in the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia. It's enough to fill two. Thank you. It's enough to fill 2 stadiums. They have 338 parishes and only 8 priests. And so here's Guatemala. You can see Guatemala City down here is the capital. And we're going to be living up here in the brown area sort of shows the higher altitudes. So we're living up in mountains around 6,000 feet in a town called Huehuetenango, actually just outside the town. And this is some photos from when the Metropolitan visited just last summer, the summer before. And there's just multitudes of people visiting, crowding to see their bishop. I love this sign in the middle. It says Juventud Ortodoxa, for the same thing. Orthodox youth present. This is they're very excited to see their bishop. Another town, crowds turning out. This is a typical church. Huge churches, not very ornate, very plain, just made with cinder blocks, plastered over. And you can see some of the bare wall in the back. So very plain churches, but they're packed with people.
Well, they decorate with those things that hang on.
Yeah, they decorate the ceilings with these cloths hanging down. Metropolitan addressing another crowd of people in another town. Another town is addressing the people. So everywhere he went, this multitudes turned out. Just hordes of people. Another typical church, again, very, very big churches. They love to celebrate when the Metropolitan was visiting. They all turn out to play the marimba, which is the main instrument of the Maya people. The Maya, as Mashka was saying, are very poor people. A lot of them would love to live in a house this nice. You know the story of the 3 little pigs, and you've got one house of brick, and another house of wood, and a house of straw. Well, most of them live in a house of straw, as it were. Very unstable homes. So this is actually a very nice home for the people. It's actually wood and has a tin roof. Typical marketplace. Here you can see the ladies' native dress. Each town, each community will have a different pattern. The ladies will have a different pattern for their skirt. This is a typical roadside marketplace. It's when I say it's right on the highway, it's right on the highway. If we took 2 steps back, we'd get hit by semis. It's right up on the Pan American Highway. But it's wonderful. You just stop alongside the road in the middle of this wonderful fresh produce. This is myself with one of the priests in Guatemala, one of the only 8 priests they have. I asked Father Evangelos, how many parishes do you have to minister to? And he said 50. I said, couldn't believe it. I can't even imagine having to be responsible for 50 parishes, one priest. And this is Father Evangelo serving in his home parish. He's serving a wedding. And you can see that in this parish they already have a lot of the things you need for an Orthodox parish. He's got a full set of vestments, he's got a censer, he's got an ambon he's standing on, he's got an iconostasis. You'll see more of the next slide. And in the background, what do you have? You have a drum kit and a keyboard. Okay, not exactly what you see in Divine Liturgy here in the U.S., but they're in a period of transition. They're used to very exuberant worship. They're used to having loud sound systems in their churches. All of this will come with time. This is what they're at right now. So it's an interesting juxtaposition of the old and the new. So this is the wedding that Father Evangelo is celebrating, because each priest has to travel around, basically has a circuit of parishes they have to visit. Each parish they visit, they have to catch up on weddings and funerals and baptisms. So it's marrying 3 couples at a time. And off on the left, you can see a gentleman with the sash across his chest, the green sash, and that indicates that he's a lay minister. Because they have so few priests, each parish has 1 or more lay ministers, and so it's like having reader services most Sundays when they don't have a priest. And so these lay ministers are very educated in the faith as much as they can be, as much as they understand about Orthodoxy, very educated in the scriptures and very dedicated. And so a lot of the seminaries we start off with will be selected from among these lay ministers. This is one of the 8 priests in Guatemala, only 2 are married. People, because they came from a Roman Catholic background, aren't used to or even familiar with the possibility of priests being married. We had an interesting experience when Masha and I visited the parish. I got up to share a few words, and Masha got up to share a few words. She was talking about her husband, the priest, and our children, and all this, and we didn't realize how scandalized the people were until we were driving back home. And the priest, who was a monastic priest, was driving us back, and he was laughing. We said, "What's so funny?" Because he goes, "They've never heard of a married priest before," but they were scandalized. They thought that Masha was a nun when we came in. So this is Father Jose and his wife Lillian, and Father Jose is one of only 2 priests in the whole country who's married. Very, very lovely couple, and they live at the site of the seminary. So this is the parish that I was privileged to serve in. We're serving post-communion here as people are arriving. And again, you can see the sort of transition period. You can see in the foreground, beginnings of an iconostasis with an icon of the Lord and Mother of God. Oh, that's working now. So we've got iconostasis here, and there's an icon of Lord's Supper up here, but then you see, Roman Catholic statue and Christ on the cross and Virgin Mary, and you've got a Sacred Heart icon, very Roman Catholic imagery. And actually, the Sacred Heart icon is Sacred Heart image is heretical, so in Orthodox theology. So they're in a period of transition. There's a lot of things they just don't understand. They don't understand why these things aren't acceptable in Orthodoxy. And I don't know if anyone's even told them that, but eventually they need to understand these things. But it's going to take a while. So the same church, people arriving. So the seminary is in the upper corner of the country near Mexico, in it's called the Western Highlands of Guatemala, up about 6,000 feet. So this is looking from the site where the seminary is being built, looking down over the city. So it's the city of Huehuetenango. It's 80,000 people. So it's a good-sized town. But the road to get from town up to the seminary, it's about 5 kilometers. So it's like 3 miles, but it's up steep, winding roads. It takes 20 minutes to get up the road. It's unpaved. It's only 1 lane. It goes along sheer cliffs with no guardrails. It's very hair-raising to go up and down that road. This is the only house on the side of the seminary. So this is probably where Masha and I will live when we get settled there until we build our own house. So it's a 3-bedroom house, and so it serves as housing for us on the staff and for the seminaries that we already have. So it's got 3 bedrooms and a kitchen and a dining room, living room. So the seminarians are sleeping in the living room right now until their housing's built. And while we're there, they're building the beginnings of the housing for the students, these cinder block structures. working on getting housing for the students already, so things are slowly moving forward in the seminary. This is the only real instructional building on the whole property, and this has been already used for years to train their lay ministers. Every couple months they'll have a seminar on a particular topic to bring their lay ministers from all over the country. The lay ministers have to pay their own transportation, and these are very poor people, and so it's a great sacrifice for them to pay the bus fare to travel across the country to get to this location for their training. And so this building serves as a classroom for sometimes hundreds of students, sometimes hundreds of lay workers. We'll meet it once, and so it serves as a classroom. It also serves as a chapel. At night it serves as a dormitory. And sometimes not everyone can fit inside there, and so the ones that can't fit inside will have to sleep outside under the stars. You can see it's a very dry climate. You see these agave plants, very desert plants. So again, this is the instructional building. You can see it has a tin roof here, and so if it rains, which it does half the year, once it rains on that tin roof, you can't hear anything. We just have to postpone classes until the rain stops. This is the inside of the chapel. You can see the paintings. Paintings were done by a priest, a man who's now a priest, and he painted these before they were canonically Orthodox. As you can see, they're sort of Orthodox, but there's still something kind of lacking there. Their father Alexios, who painted these, has now spent a year in Greece living in a monastery and learning iconography. And so now he's come back and he's redoing all his iconography. He's completely repainting all his frescoes and paintings, and so he's the before and after his iconography is impressive. So I hope he gets around to these pretty soon. So this is again Father John Chakos, the Greek-American priest who's leading the seminary for now. He'll be our boss when we move down there. And while we were there in March, I was privileged to be there for the first liturgy ever served on the seminary property for the seminary itself. And I asked Father Andres, who's the head of the Guatemalan church, who the seminary is getting named for. And he said for Saints Peter and Paul, which I was very happy to hear because Saints Peter and Paul are such wonderful saints, and also because St. Peter is my patron saint, so I was very happy about that. So Father John and I served the first liturgy there. So as I was mentioning earlier, the two tasks we'll be involved in is teaching the new seminarians, training new priests, but also overseeing translation of the Divine Liturgy and other services into the native languages. As Mashka was saying, half the people in the country speak Indian language as their first language, not Spanish. And so it's very common to go into a store. This is just a convenience store along the road, along the highway, and the sign will be in Spanish, and it'll be in English, and then down here it'll be in an Indian language. So this happens to be the Quiche language. And so now you know how to say push in Spanish, you say buque, and now you know how to say it in Quiche. So that might come in handy. Does anyone know what this is? Anyone want to hazard a guess what this is? Open hand here. It's a shower. This is the shower for all the lay workers, lay ministers that come to the seminars. Sometimes up to 500 people will come and they have to share this shower. And it's cold. One of our parishioners said, Father Peter, he said, I heard that you don't have any hot water where you'd be moving. And I said, actually, there's no water. You have to truck the water in. There's no running water there. So truck water in, fill the tank on the top of the roof, and hopefully it'll last for everyone until the truck comes by again. And it's not heated. And this is the kitchen to cook, primitive wooden stove for all the 500 lay workers that come. Does anyone know what this is? Yeah, this is where you wash your clothes. Okay? So on one side you rinse, on the other side you scrub, and then once it's all dry, then you put it in the wheelbarrow and bring it back up the hill. And so it's a very arid climate there, goat. And does anyone know what this is? It's an oven. Like Machi was saying, their diet consists of corn tortillas and beans every day, 3 times a day. And so they bake fresh corn tortillas in this oven, and they serve it all piping hot. And before we left, Father Andres told Mashka and me to pick a site for us to have our house built on. And so Lord willing, we'll move back down house built. I asked Father John, the Greek American priest, how much he thought it would cost to build a house. And he thought about it for a while, and it was, I don't know, maybe $10,000, $15,000. And I said, $10,000, $15,000? I couldn't believe it. He goes, oh, maybe not that much, I don't know. It's very defensive, but we were quite relieved. So here's Mashka indicating the spot where Lord willing our house will be built. It's the only flat spot in the whole seminary property area. And through the trees, you can't see very well. If we move a few of them aside, we can get a nice view of the city from there. So like I said, there's no water on the property. They've been trying to drill for water, trying to drill a well there for some time. So the last day we were there, we served a Amaliyevin to St. Styliana, St. Potini, the woman at the well, for them to be able to find water on the site. This was back in March, they still haven't found it, so please pray with us that they'll find water on the site so we're not going to have a truck in. So Father John is serving Father John here is serving the Evan. This is Father Jose Adolfo, and it's myself and seminarian, and Father Jose Adolfo is a seminarian as well. So please pray. Please pray for Guatemala. Please pray for the newborn church in Guatemala that's still starting to crawl. Please pray for the seminary they're trying to set up. And please pray that Mashka and I will be able to raise the regular support, financial support that we need so we can move down there. We told people when we came back from Guatemala in March, we said we're moving to Guatemala. And so people have been excited about that. But then here we are, it's December, and people are saying, you're still here? They say, yeah, we're still here because we don't have the money yet. So once we have that regular pledge support, we'll be able to move down, we'll be able to move forward on this urgent need to train all these priests for this new country. If we don't train the priests, the people will get discouraged. If people get discouraged, they'll end up leaving the faith. And so it's very important that, like a newborn baby, you have to care for that baby and nurture that baby until that baby can walk on his own. Same way.
I think that's the end of the slide. So, the other question is, what can you do about this? You probably don't have a lot of money, and we seem to be needing money. But actually, there probably are things that you can do if you think about it. You can think about, I don't know, organizing a walk for mission in your city with the other Orthodox churches. Or you could take these little donation boxes that I have around to the Orthodox churches in your area and ask the priests if they would like them to be put at the candlestands. Or you could, I don't know, maybe you have creative ideas of fundraisers or whatever. Or maybe, maybe you don't make a lot of money, but maybe you have some kind of a job and maybe you could give $5 a month to us. That would help us, because if enough people did that, we would have everything that we need to do the work that we need to do. So, please don't think that your 2 cents doesn't matter. It does. And it's a very exciting thing that's going on in Guatemala, and it's a big opportunity. And you can be a part of it. And it's something really big, but it's these things are not automatic. Sometimes people think if something's God's will, then it will happen. Well, it's God's will that everyone be saved, but that's not happening. We have to do our part in order to fulfill God's will. So, I would just like each of you to think about what perhaps small part you could play in helping this really important thing that's going on in Guatemala. And the needs are really, the needs are really great. But it's a place where something small can have a huge effect. Sometimes you donate to somebody and you don't really know what happened to that money. Well, in this case, there will be a huge return on anything that we do in Guatemala, because it's just such a an amazingly ripe for the harvest situation.
Sometimes people have asked us, why are you leaving your parish in Buffalo where you're comfortable and the parish is going so well? Why are you leaving that to move to this, uncertain situation down in Guatemala? And I said, well, just looking at it in terms of numbers, we've got 100 people in Buffalo, and that's great. We've got 150,000 people in Guatemala that need us. There aren't many people that are willing to go or able to do the work that we need to do. And so it's a no-brainer in that sense. But like Masha was saying, we have the opportunity to do something that'll touch the lives of 150,000 new Orthodox Christians. And when else does anyone have an opportunity to do that? If you work in a parish, you can affect other lives in the parish. But this is 150,000 people. Anyway, we've talked long enough. Do you guys have any questions?
We have an online, method to make the donation.
Yes.
What?
We have an online method of making donations.
Yeah.
We're in the process of setting it up so that you can go to our website and just give your PayPal or credit card. We're setting that up right now. We've already opened the bank account. We just need to set up the PayPal account to go with it. So yes, that's in process, but it'll be very soon.
But we already have an address where people can send checks to. But pretty soon we'll have a way to use PayPal to do it on a credit card.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. We'll take it around to all our comments. Father.
So, a couple of years ago, this group of people joined canonical orthodoxy. How did they even find out about orthodoxy? Why did they get discouraged with the Roman Catholicism that they had inherited? That's the kind of, in the description you've given, that's where it didn't seem, there's part of the history there that just not really covered. How did that happen? And is this really that one man who himself decided? I forget his name.
Yeah. Father Andres decided himself to come to Orthodoxy. During the Civil
He'd been a Roman Catholic priest?
He'd been a Roman Catholic priest. As a matter of fact, interestingly, even when he was serving as a senator in Guatemala, he was still a Roman Catholic priest. He actually got a blessing from Pope John Paul II to serve as a senator while he was still a priest. I don't know of any other cases like that. Because of the Civil War, there's a lot of tension between different factions. And I think that the Roman Catholic hierarchy was perceived as being involved with the oligarchy in Guatemala, which was perceived as persecuting the peasantry, the poor people. And so the poor people felt alienated from the Roman Catholic Church. And they also felt abandoned by the Roman Catholic Church. A lot of people we're talking to there said that in a lot of these towns, the Roman Catholic Church would send a priest maybe once a year. And so they just felt really abandoned. They weren't being ministered to by the Roman Catholic Church. Which is what probably makes us all the more urgent that we hurry up and train some priests. Because if not, pretty soon they'll feel abandoned by us.
I think another thing that's happened is that in the past, the Roman Catholics, I don't think, saw these Mayan people as capable of being clergy. So they would send an outsider priest into these areas who didn't speak the language and didn't understand, and would only come once a year, and it was just very perfunctory. What we plan to do is train the local people themselves to be their own clergy. So it's a drastically different approach. Anyway, they had left the Roman Catholic Church because they felt neglected and because of the Civil War and because of lots of different reasons. And then Father Andres Guidon is somebody that they trust. So when he became part of a not canonical Orthodox group, they all flocked to join him because they whatnot that he had with the non-canonical group. And anyway, so Father Andres, his health is poor, and he did not want to die and leave these people sort of stranded with no leadership. So he wanted to plug them into the true Orthodox Church, and in this way, he will feel at peace that he's leaving them in good hands, and that he's that after his death, these people will be taken care of and shepherded and trained. And he very much, Armando Andres very much believes in using the indigenous languages and training the people who are already there to be their own clergy. Because the problem is, even if you take those people and send them to seminary in Greece or even in Guatemala City, if you take them out of their area to train them, it's very hard to put them back because they may not want to go back. And so this is why we're putting the seminary in their area. We'd rather live in a difficult, isolated place and teach seminary there than to bring them out someplace and then maybe they will never want to go back and we won't accomplish the purpose. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
There's a lot of things.
Any other questions?
Maybe gross the quote that we were thinking about, can we raise money for that seminar? Good cause.
Father, just to let you know, we watched a film about a procession of the cross that lasted about a week in Russia, and had been talking about potentially trying to do something like that in our diocese somewhere, maybe next year, maybe next summer, and we could try to figure out what would be the focus spiritually of the event, and maybe this would be part of that.
Well, that would be great. Yeah, great. Cool. Something else?
Is this under the Greeks, or is this a multi-jurisdictional thing, or?
We're going under the auspices of the Orthodox Christian Mission Center, which is the official missionary sending agency of all the Orthodox jurisdictions in North America. On the field in Guatemala, we'll be under Metropolitan Anthony Boras of Mexico. We're not leaving the Russian Church abroad. We're going to be on loan, as it were, to the Greek Archdiocese of Mexico. So it's kind of an interesting situation because I'll still be under Metropolitan Hilarion, but we'll be on loan to Metropolitan Anthony Boras, the Greek Bishop of Mexico. We're also under OCMC, Orthodox Christian Mission Center. So we're sort of under three bosses at once.
The other two people who are willing to teach at the seminary are, they're only able to go for 3-month periods at a time. So we'll be the only people who will be there full time. And these other people, one of them is from a Greek background and the other one is OCA. And I think it's important that we be there and give sort of a traditionalist perspective. Because otherwise, I just think that we feel like it's important to pass on the Orthodoxy the way we learned it, the way we were trained in Yorkville, or at least bring that perspective to the seminary, because otherwise it's going to be a very watered down version of Orthodoxy that's taught to these people, unfortunately.
Yeah, also of the three clergy couples of us that are going down, Mashka, myself, and 2 other clergy couples, Mashka and I are the only ones that speak Spanish. So that's kind of important. So we're the only ones who would be there full time, year round, actually living there, and the only ones that speak Spanish. So please pray for us. Any other questions? These are all good questions. Yeah.
How many priests do you need?
Well, they've got 338 parishes, so they need at least 338 priests.
But they do have these very capable lay leaders, as they call them, which probably will eventually be tonsured as readers, most of them. But some of those men will be trained and ordained as priests too, because the reason some of them are lay leaders rather than clergy is just because they have to have a wife. So that's not going to be an obstacle for ready to start their seminary education. They're finished with high school. They're, each year some of them graduate from high school and some of them are ready to be seminarians. And then there are also people who come from Roman Catholic background and who have already been trained as Roman Catholic priests and for one reason or another have decided not to do that. So there's a constant stream of people coming to Archpriest Andres asking him to receive them out of the Roman Catholic Church in Guatemala, because the Roman Catholic Church in Guatemala is very corrupt and the hierarchy is very mistrusted by everyone. So there are a lot of people who even clergy who are disillusioned with that, and so there's a constant stream of people coming to Archpriest Andres and asking to be received by him, and he's actually very careful about. He doesn't just receive them willy-nilly. He insists that they go through some kind of training and screening process. But there are a lot of candidates to be trained.
When Marsh was talking about a constant stream of people coming to the Orthodox Church there, not just the clergy, but when people convert to Orthodoxy in Guatemala, it's not just a person here, a person there. It's whole towns at a time. The whole villages and the elders of the village will come to Father Andres and ask to receive. And so when the elders receive, the whole village will receive as well. And so it's amazing. If you go to Guatemala, there's whole communities where every single person in that community is Orthodox. I don't know of any place in the United States it's like that.
Yeah, if Father Andres' health were better and he were able to travel to some of the more difficult to reach areas where they're asking him to come, we all need to pray for his health, because if he were able to travel to some of these really, really isolated areas, they're clamoring for him to come and receive them. And their loyalty right now is to him personally. And if he were to go personally, they would become more Orthodox. Lots and lots of people, even more than what we've already talked about, both in Guatemala and also in southern Mexico. And so if his health holds out, he will really try to bring all of these people in and put them into the church where they need to be.
Any last questions? Great, thank you. Yeah.
Maybe some kind of question that, like, if they have on the cord, that's what they use for, like, phosphor or...
That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Well, everything right now is in transition, and when they were with their non-canonical Orthodox group, they really were doing things the Roman Catholic way with the wafer. As a matter of fact, they were consecrating wafers as supposedly communion, and then they were just sending those out everywhere with the lay workers. So it has to be a big change now, because they're learning to make prosfora. And this is one of the things that we're tackling is, how do you make prosfora? Can you do it in one of these clay ovens like we saw? Do we need to make some kind of corn cakes out of this is one of the things that we're grappling with, what is the best way forward? Because obviously we can't use the Catholic wafers. We have to do something that fits with the church canon. I don't think that they're going to. I think they're going to be able to make prosfora because flour is available. I don't think they're going to have to use corn cakes. The question is how to bake it in the kind of ovens that they have in some of these places. But they do have ovens, so it should be doable.
That's a good question. Yeah. The parish that I was asked to serve at, the Sundays we were there, we were halfway to the parish, which was like an hour away. And we were halfway there, and the priest who was driving us there realized, oh, I don't have any wine. I have to make a detour and go into town and get some wine. So we take a detour on the way to church, about 20 minutes out of our way, and get some wine and finally get to the parish. And, being a hyper North American, everyone's got to be on time. And I keep forgetting that in Guatemala, people don't necessarily care too much if things start on time. So we get there and the people are fine. They're all wandering into the church. And priest asks me to serve prosca media, and he realizes, oh, we forgot to bring the prosfora. So he sends a guy all the way back an hour back to the house to get the prosfora and bring it all the way back. So in the meantime, we had to fill time. So after I finally served prosca media, we finally served liturgy, on the way home, after we got back, I said to Mashka, I said, what was that about? She goes, what? I said, why did they have the prosfora with them? Why did they have the wine? They didn't have a spear to cut the lamb from the prosfora. And Mashka says, oh, it's because they don't normally, don't you realize they don't normally do the prosfora? They normally just use wafers. I thought, oh, of course. So they just did it for our benefit because we were there. So they do know how to do things the Orthodox way. It's just that they normally don't have a priest in each parish, so normally they don't do that. Normally they just have wafers that are sent around. They pass them out themselves.
And when we arrived, they sent us to that parish because that was like one of the more Orthodox ones, and they thought we would be shocked if we went to some of the other ones. And so this is kind of their best game. But anyway, when we got there, they had to move the altar back where it was supposed to be because it was in the Roman Catholic position up against the wall. So they had to move everything into Orthodox position and everything, you know. So obviously this wasn't what they were doing every week.
Oh, the American clergy are here. Quick, let's make everything look Orthodox. So they're definitely in transition.
Another thing I noticed is they brought some of the boys, some of the orphan boys, this is a whole other story, but they brought some of the orphan boys to be the choir at that liturgy and sing the liturgy. And the people seemed to know it, the other people, and they were singing along, but there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm. And then at the end, when they were actually, when they were receiving communion, then they started singing one of their hymns that they knew from their Catholic past, and you know, one of their Guatemalan style hymns, and all of a sudden there was all sorts of enthusiasm. Was, you know, the singing was really, really different, and I mean, it was still reverent and nice, but all of a sudden everybody was really happy and enjoying the singing. So I think that we need to really, really find music for the liturgy that they enjoy singing and can feel good about, because the music that's being handed down to them right now is it's not going over. And I think that might be one of the big reasons, that might be one of the big hurdles that we need to get over. We need to find music that is acceptable, but that they also like.
There's no other question.
So like in Ethiopia, right, they serve very different, but very Ethiopian, but very Orthodox liturgies as well. So maybe to look at, you know, how they do it, you know, to their own origins, right?
We have to find the things in their culture that make sense to them and can fit with Orthodoxy. There's a lot of what they do that fits with Orthodoxy. For one thing, yeah, just a second. They're very much into incense, and they have their own indigenous incense in Guatemala. In fact, they have like a half a dozen different kinds that they're already used to using in all their services. And so we don't have to fret about trying to import incense from Mount Athos or something. They already have their own incense there.
Maybe they should import it to us.
Maybe they should import to us,
Well,
exactly.
it doesn't.
Well, they have
But it makes a lot of smoke.
and they're used to using incense in their homes. They're used to making processions, so processions aren't new to them. The women are used to cover their heads. They're used to men and women on opposite sides. So a lot of things that, you know, in a lot of our parishes we struggle with introducing, even if people have been Orthodox for many generations. For they're already all set on that. So a lot of things, because they're a very traditional society, and traditional Orthodoxy is so traditional, a lot of it already coincides on a lot of points. But there's a lot of things in their culture, like as far as music, different practices, we have to find, the Holy Spirit has to show them. It's not about us trying to figure this out and impose it on them. But prayerfully, we have to find ways to incorporate things that make from their culture that make sense to them, that don't, not only don't conflict with Orthodoxy, but complement Orthodoxy.
Father Peter, what may be interesting to you and some of this young people here, For a couple of years already, we've been working with a traditional black parish, Protestant parish in Missouri about coming to Orthodoxy, and one of the big conversations has been the hymnography. So rather than reinvent the wheel, let's talk about that offline, because for a couple of years already we're working on this question, and how does the existent culture merge with the Orthodox concepts. So there may be some informative things there for you that you won't have to kind of redo.
Thank you.
And we've been working with Bishop Peter, so we aren't just, Lydica has been guiding this whole thing.
Maybe, like for the music thing, maybe have like maybe someone's very good musical, they want to learn it, compose.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Maybe have someone compose music for the liturgy.
Right.
Yeah.
They probably should go through
I
seminary.
noticed like seminary or something, so,
Right.
just
Right, we need to find that person that can do that.
instead of just, in another way, you could just give them what's already there, but, it's not gonna be the same, just they're not rush and they're not read back.
Exactly. Because, in Orthodox tradition, if you go to a Russian parish or a Greek parish, or, different Serbian parish, the melodies, of course, will be different, as you know. And so there's no problem with that. The melodies can be different. So we've got the people themselves have to find something that speaks to them, that's their culture. As long as the text is the same. As long as the liturgy is the liturgy, but the music has to speak to the people.
You can have any translation to Mali.
Yeah, and there's 22 Mayan languages, so.
Have you made any translation for the music or you sing in Mali?
Well, when I was there, I served in Spanish, and we were just using the music that they already knew.
Just to wrap up, I'm really hoping that each of you will think about how you can help us, and it doesn't have to be financial. We really, really, really need your prayers, because, it's a spiritual struggle, and it's a spiritual thing that's happening at the deepest level, and so prayer is the first thing that's needed. So, if each of you would include Guatemala and us